Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. Today's episode 265, and it's the coming renters, evictions, and unemployment. I've just been watching, trying to learn what's going on with our economy. Yesterday's podcast was, I don't think anybody knows what the hell's happening. A lot of people like to act like they have a crystal ball. I think when things don't happen, they're going to look pretty fucking stupid. And if I am going to take advice from somebody, I am definitely going to take advice from somebody who leaves everything open-ended. Meaning that they say, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, but through data, through analytics, through what we're seeing going on right now, here's what we think is going to happen, right? I mean, we've seen this over and over again. Excuse the background noise, by the way, too. This is my commute in my vehicle. This is when I do my podcast. But I do also want to excuse, I know there's other people from different places of the world tune into this show. And I'm talking specifically about the United States. And I live in Southern California, to be precise. But yeah, there's throughout United States, I guess, there's about 10.1 million people unemployed. They're getting unemployment checks, they're getting benefits and things like that. I think a very large number, in my opinion, are people that just don't want to work. There's a lot of them that need it, but a lot of them that are cashing in, making more money by the stimulus and unemployment, and maybe double dipping, doing cash jobs and things like that than they would even just working a regular job. We also have the eviction moratorium that's being lifted here. That's coming this next week here. That's coming by this week. I think by Friday, I'd imagine. So this is some pretty huge shifts in the coming economic changes that are happening. And I just kind of wanted to talk today a little bit about what I think we should do. And let's just get into it. I think that what I'm observing is a lot of these investors, rich people. What happens for me is I follow a lot of real estate investors and tycoons and stuff like that. I know a lot of these people want to keep things interesting with their podcasts and their YouTube channels and things like that. But what I like about them is they're not specifically going after, what's happening and things like that. They're actually their motive, I guess I would say. The motive is more like, let's go make some money. I'm going to look pretty stupid if I'm referring people over to information and areas where, and things that are happening. If I don't know what I'm talking about, especially if my audience is a bunch of investors. So I kind of look and say it's kind of a secret and a good practice to follow some of these people who aren't necessarily in like news media and things like that. Like, these people want to get shit done. You want somebody who's going to make some really good money, like millions of dollars or something. You watch where those fucking people are investing, where they're putting their actual money. Not all of them, but it's a pretty good sign. And what a lot of these people are saying as far as in real estate is that, they're looking going, you know what, you could benefit from the Section 8. If those of you who don't know what Section 8 is, that's where the government actually helps you pay your rent because your income's so low. They're already expecting a lot of this kind of stuff. A friend of mine years ago, probably about 5 years ago, they were putting up these big buildings everywhere in like San Diego County and Los Angeles. Well, not necessarily Los Angeles, but right outside of Los Angeles. Big old giant home thing. Like, it looks like there's probably like 100 homes, these condos and everything. And I just asked, why would people move in there? How many people are going to be stacked up like that? Who would want to live that way? Who's going to pay these exorbitant rent costs? And my friend said Section 8, they're preparing. And I don't know if that's true or what, but it kind of makes sense. But what's happening then is what I want to get down to is that the poor and the middle class seem to be the most likely affected by all of this hoopla that's happening, all these corrections and stuff. Not to say, again, I don't have a crystal ball, but the look on the rich faces, these investors and things, they don't look too worried about things. I think they're more worried about the lower middle class. When we say poor, middle class, upper class, I don't even know if it's okay to say upper class anymore. I think they just say you're wealthy or you're rich or whatever. But we have such a different strata, you know. If somebody makes, I think middle class is somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000, you know, $80,000 a year. When you start getting up to six-figure income, you know, you start doing your upper class, middle class. So we have all these different spectrums, and I think that it's going to be even to the upper middle class. Reason being is that I don't think a lot of this stuff's going to stop. I think that it's going to keep going from the money-grubbing capitalists out there. But we're going to have to come up with some solutions and things like that about what to do with unemployment, what to do with these evictions and things like that. And I think that most people who have family are probably going to group up and they're going to live together. There's going to be people probably working 2 jobs. You see, this all happens too, I want to explain, I believe on September 4th. There's a lot of the evictions and things I think are already being handed out. I think on September 4th is what they're calling the cliff, where they're going to stop all unemployment checks and things like that. And guys, I've said this before, this was one of the best, and I think it still is. I think there's going to be still a lot of stragglers sitting around not knowing where to get jobs. Maybe just go to McDonald's or something like that, you know. But it's never been a time that I can remember where the opportunity for a 9-to-5 blue-collar worker has been it's the greatest time. You've had your chance, I think. If you need to do this tomorrow. If you're sitting home without a job, there are tons of people giving incentives for you to come to work. So if there's a job that you hated or something that you wanted to even start, something that you think you're good at, now's your chance to strike. You know, we talked a lot about on the show about doing things you hate. You know, it really sucks. I can't even imagine Monday through Friday going to a job with people you can't stand, and worse than that is doing something that you just despise. That's not going to be a successful life. That's not going to be a good spiritually happy person in general. It brings you down. It's natural, right? It's a given. You don't even have to think about it. Something that is in an environment that it detests is stressed out, unhappy, and a lot of other bad things are going to follow. So on the plus side, I've been saying this a long time, you guys strike now. Go out there and find something that you like to do and hit it as hard as you can. So yeah, the poor and the middle class, I just see a lot of these investors and people just kind of smiling along and just kind of, you know, not really worried about what's going on with them, even though I think some of these people, if they're not set up right, they could be highly affected as well. So, man, if there's one thing I've learned in life is never get too comfortable, never get too cocky where things are fine, you know. Nature has its way of disrupting our so-called normalcy and our routine behaviors, right? There's always something. The monetary system is no different, the economy. And if you think you're safe, just because you have some cash, you know, and a lot of money in your bank, you're probably wrong. There are big companies that get bought out, right? There's marketing where one company just got very comfortable and says, we don't need to market, get new clients and stuff like that. Next thing you knew, a new company rose who was really ambitious, took all of the money. Look at Amazon. Amazon used Google to get big, to get even bigger, now it's just a huge giant, and it continues to just it makes things so convenient for people that they're not coming into your shop anymore when they can just have it delivered to their doorstep. And who's there? Amazon, just continually just making new shit. I mean, this is crazy. They're doing raw vegetables and stuff like that. So yeah, and that's the automation. We need to talk about that. So in all of this, this is how I think a simple life is going to be needed. And a show like this, from start to finish, has been through the mindsets, through the life practices and things that we share on the show. This is what people are going to need to do, from the poor to the middle class. So I also predict that what we've had is the working middle class and the upper working middle class, especially here in California, have been working and trying to make things go, you know, keep things afloat and everything. The way things are moving and as hard as things get, they're just going to get bled out really slowly. I would recommend to people is you better damn well, the upper to middle class to the lower middle class, go out there and look at your finances. You need to run your life like a business. You need to, at least your money, figure out what your expenses are, We talked a lot about it on the show. What's going in, what's going out, what are your variable expenses? How much do you actually need? How much can you sustain financially before, or are you just getting bled out? Are you just surviving and never saving anything? I think that's one of the biggest problems I see with middle class people, poor people as well, is that they work, save a bunch of money, or try to save, and then something bad happens. They end up spending that money. They barely have any reserves, at least what analytics tell me. And all it takes is one little tilter, just like this coronavirus. It could take, you break an arm, you get in a car wreck or something, and you're unable to go to work for a month. Bam, everything's lost. I met a professional analyst, one of my clients, and that's what he says one of the top reasons, if not the number one, I think he said it was number one, reasons for bankruptcy is medical conditions. People who are upper middle class, even rich, overextend themselves. So one little tilt in the system, the whole castle comes going down. And I think that's the majority of what we got going on. So you guys better check yourselves. And I don't think this is how can you sustain this happily? Let alone as far as an investor standpoint, how is this going to profit you? So, yeah. So what are the deal with a lot of people? What are they going to do? You have only a few options. You have moving with your parents, moving with your kids, and living in a RV. God, I'm starting to stumble. I'm just trying to pay attention on traffic and everything here too, guys. Yeah, you can move into an RV, just like I did, and get your cost of living down. I think a lot of people are going to have to move back in with their parents. Some with maybe parents with their kids. And, some people with their grandparents. I want to tell you guys a story. I moved in with my grandfather years ago. I don't even know, probably like 15 years ago. I really can't. The older I get, the harder it is to remember at times. But I did this because there was no other reason. There was nothing going on. I wasn't hurting financially, nothing. I had my 2 children. And I looked at, I had a brand new vehicle, two vehicles that were new that I had a loan on, 2 separate loans. And what I did is I moved in with my grandfather, and I offered him, I said, well, can I pay you some rent or something to help out? And he always said, no, don't even worry about it. So what I did is I just busted my ass, and I worked to make as much money as I can. I think I worked over the top. I did 12, 14-hour days to really take advantage of the no rent and everything going on at my grandpa's house. And on my days off, I did such things as paint his house. I plumbed about 3/4 of his house, redid the drainage. I redid the hot and cold water lines and things like that. So he was very appreciative and very happy to have someone like me there. And I think that's why he already knew who I was. I speak a lot about be a man of your word, a person of your word. And when you're a person of your word and people see you working hard, you get things like that where people trust you, and that's things that money can't buy. So yeah, I lived with my grandfather, with my 2 children and my wife at the time, my girlfriend. We hunkered down. It wasn't the easiest. It was very difficult, as far as privacy and things like that. But we lived there for about 2 years, I believe. And within those 2 years, I got myself out of about $40,000 worth of debt, saved up a big old nest egg and things like that. And that's really one of those bumps, I think, financially, that people need. And if it's even available to you, right? If you even have family or you have some place to go like that. If not, you really got to work double hard and do it yourself. But yeah, there was nothing going on. I mean, I set myself up. I set myself up for, not for life, but a very good high bump right there. And I think that I had no chip on my shoulder. I had no pride, no anything about nothing, man. I just went in there, and my friends, family, everybody knew where I was at, what was going on. And I think that's probably one of the biggest problems we're going to have with people, is that they got to let go of that pride, right? They got to let go of that ego, and they're thinking that they're going to do, all of these things. Well, we have collapse. If you're poor, lower middle class to upper middle class, and we got all of this shit happening here. You're gonna have to check yourself, because I think, as they say, you're gonna wreck yourself, pretty much. So, I don't think there's a lot of options. I think a lot of people are probably going to be bled out. And I guess the warning and the suggestions that I always want to tell people, because I see so many of them doing it, is think about what you're going to do before you get bled out. Why must many of us wait until that actual time comes and, you know, we're just completely suffering? Why can't we just go out and catch these things, nip them in the bud, as they like to say, and look at life for what it truly, truly is, right? So let's do some planning. Let's take a look and figure out what we can do from there. As far as I would suggest, you guys, is go to living with your parents, go moving with your kids, vice versa, whichever direction you're in. If you don't have family, get yourself some friends, and I think you guys should group up and do something together. The RV living, it's a little bit of an investment. I've talked a lot about, if you're interested in doing RV living, which I do, it's full-time RV living in an RV park. And to give you guys por ejemplo, an example, is that here in California, the average rent is no lower than like $2,500 a month for a house. If you want an apartment, you're probably at the best $1,600 to $1,800. I'd probably say more than 18. Now that the renters, the homeowners, have been completely abused, right? And the government, they didn't give money to the homeowners. The renters, which some of them needed to, I'm not banging one side or the other, it's just the facts that what is, a lot of people weren't paying rent, and a lot of landowners got hit very, very hard. We've been talking a lot about the rise of inflation, the cost of gas, food, lumber, everything has gone through the roof. The rents are going to go up, and they're going to go up significantly. And it's not just my opinion on that. That's also these real estate investors who are saying, hey, purchase now, buy these apartment complexes and houses and stuff, because you're going to get that much more rent. It will pay off. And as I said, I think we're moving into a renter's nation. We have like 60%, I think, or 65% of the homes are owned and rented out. You know, whereas like the other 55%, I'm sorry, 45% are homes where people actually, they own, they live in. They don't really have primary other residence. So the amount of homes that are going on in the United States. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend that you guys consider moving into an RV park. As I said, the rents here, to give you guys the example, I'm paying about $900 a month. It's gone up $50, and in contrast to like $3 grand. I look at the mortgages on a $500,000 house is around, with about 5% down over here, is around $3,100 a month. That's over $3,000 a month. I predict, which there's not even any houses for $500,000 where I live. Again, I live in rich upcountry here, and the houses, there's nothing less than like $700,000, I think, right now. It's ridiculous. But the prices of everything is going to go up, and I believe it's going to stay up. And that's what brings me into why I don't think things are going to change here. You can't give a business, as I said, they're selling apples for $4.99 a pound, and now suddenly we're supposed to sell them for $3.99 a pound. I think they're pretty much going to hold to their guns, right? A lot of people are going to get starved out. As I said, it's not the rich that are really concerned, and I think that it's not the upper class that are being concerned about all these things. It's them looking at what's going to happen with the middle to the poor, and I don't think it really would be hard to wash out of their hair this problem if poor people and middle class couldn't afford to buy meat or certain produce, products and things like that. I think that the majority of the world of the nation is the poor and middle class. These are the workers and stuff. So I don't understand where the money's going to come from for these people to buy all their stuff at Walmarts and things like that and grocery stores, right? You got to have your consumers, being the rich company throwing out products. Somebody's got to be there to buy shit. So, yeah, the money, I think, why things aren't going to change. I think it's a capitalistic gain that we're seeing around everywhere. The rents are going to go up, the gas is going to go up, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get richer off these things here. It's also the control. I've heard stories where, they say we don't have to wear masks anymore. And there's children and adults still wearing masks because they feel comfortable with these things. They've been controlled to, you know, you can take your mask off now. I wouldn't be surprised if this pandemic ever ends, if it ends, that it's like it's done, it's over. There's like zero, there's nobody, and people are still wearing masks. The level of control, as I said on yesterday's show, why we should separate ourselves from the masses, because a lot of them are mind controlled. They believe absolutely 100% that they are right and that we are wrong. And when we live, this is ridiculous. I know there's a lot of questions and things that we have that we can look at, but are we looking at everything in its entirety? And I think it's impossible to know for sure unless you've looked at to form an opinion, especially when you're going to be cutting people out of your life or telling another person that they're living wrong. You should damn well know what you're talking about. You may lose a friend, right, or something. So, yeah, the control is an issue. I think they've got definite more control over the fucking fuddy-duddy, fucking khaki-wearing people out there who are just law-abiding. You know, you say jump, we say how high. You know, and the government knows best. And Western medicine is the only answer to anything. Public education is the only answer to anything. And social media and the news, and when they say it, you know, what's going on, that's where I get my information. I don't need to look anywhere else. These are the people that are being led and controlled. And you know what? I think they like it. And I think even the people that don't like it. I have people I know who's like, fuck the government, these fucking oil companies. The man is always trying to suppress our freedoms and take shit away. Oh shit, I'm going to go fucking wear a mask and I'm also going to get the vaccination just like that, right? Just like that, and do everything that the government's saying, and then turn around and yell at other people and tell them we should put people like you on an island, right? You unvaccinated people and shit like that. You know, they just did a whole light switch. But what I want to say is that people don't want to give up their comforts, and they want to keep their food being delivered to their door. They want to, I think universal basic income is another thing that's probably going to come. I can't say for sure of the crystal ball, but it does make sense that 10.1 million people are unemployed. They all have to go to the workforce. They're all going to have to go find jobs. A lot of those jobs have been gone forever. A lot of businesses have gone down with this COVID. So many variables to look at that. We've also had automation on the rise. And I've been talking about this for a long time. I'm starting to see it. But I think this is a great time for companies to actually say, you know what? We can't hire. We're going to let go of a lot of our people. We have 3D printers. We got all. You guys don't even understand. Take a look at it. Do some research into what automation is, what's happening right now. And many industries across the board, even some of my own. And I think this is a great excuse to say, well, you know what, we just couldn't find the help. Nobody wanted to work. And we had to replace people with robots, basically, and machinery, things like that. You know, and anything that you're able to do repetitively, you know, whether it's sorting documents and things like that. Literally, guys, let's just put it this way. Automation has gone into the recycling. They have a little machine that detects glass, colored glass, I believe, cans, plastics, what type of plastic, and it literally knocks stuff off of a conveyor belt. They have all these little little arms, right? That just come out like a punching arm. It just goes punch, 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 and knocks stuff off and sorts everything out. And we're talking about recycling plastic cans and aluminum, guys. Aluminium for our friends over in England. You guys get what I'm saying? That's pretty freaking crazy to be able to do that. As far as monetary systems, to pay somebody what? 11, 12, I don't even know what minimum wage is nowadays. Probably offending people. Good. Like $13 an hour. I don't know. If you're paying somebody $12 an hour to sort out cans, but yet you spent thousands of dollars. I don't know how much this machine will cost. I imagine it ain't cheap, but that's how profitable it's in the recycling arena. Think about some of the higher end jobs. Yes. So, yeah, warning on automation. Again, as I said, I'm telling people, you may go to work and find out that, or go to get a job and find out that you've actually been replaced, or you'll be slowly replaced. And I think you should heed and take a look at what you're after, or what kind of job you're going after, to figure out what you guys can do about this kind of stuff, because it's coming. It's definitely coming. And I think that the renters moratorium is over. The unemployment is over. They're just going to stop paying people. What's going to happen? we've watched people, as I said, who have no savings. They have really much skills. They're after comfort and aesthetics rather than functionality, definitely. So how are these people supposed to survive? The public education system has failed them. I think their parents have failed them. You know, even people my age, they kind of don't know how. They don't believe in themselves enough to go out and maybe get a side hustle or figure out, you know, start thinking for themselves. They're like, well, I got to go to school then before I do anything, right? I can't think on my own, right? So I think that what the government's going to have to do is they're in a place where they're stuck, where they're going to have to take care of these people. They're going to have to do something like Section 8 as that, and these are the black keys, right? These are the off notes I'm hearing between the song, reading between the lines. A lot of these rich people are actually depending on, not depending solely, but saying, hey, I really don't worry about the renters. If there's nobody that could pay, Section 8 will come to save the day. That's telling me these people know something that we don't know. And could it happen? Possibly not. Could it happen? Possibly so. But the government basically will get this universal basic income. They will do something to help people out. I think that there's a flow of cash, of money that could happen to where, you know, they've printed a lot of money and they continue to print money. But I think if they have automation doing a lot of the work for people, and that's generating product, and they put money into circulation, you know, of all this money they printed, that money stays in circulation. They're giving it to people to go spend to the businesses. So the businesses that are owning all these robots that are baking cakes and fucking making, you know, I don't know, lollipops and shit like that, baby pacifiers for even adults. They're making these products out there. People are sitting at home getting the basic income. They could even tell them where to spend their money, like certain places. You know, I think that it's just a very interesting thing. I don't want to. This sounds like a conspiracy theory, and it could be. But it also, a lot of things that sounded like conspiracy theories have actually happened. So take it with a grain of salt, I guess. I don't know. I'm very concerned. 10.1 million people on unemployment is a very large number. I think there's like 3.5 million people, renters, or people that are, I think that was the number, behind on their rent. You know, so who knows what the exact numbers are of people that are going to get kicked out. This could be something very, very interesting that's going to happen. So let's see what the future brings. I think that you should start designing your own life. As I said, start figuring out what you can do for yourself. When you're in a position like me where you have the simple life, we're very unaffected by a lot of these things. No matter, you know, we are affected. The price of meat goes up. I'm affected. It costs me more money to live. If the rent goes up $25 more, you know, every 6 months, you know, I'm affected. Those things go up. I understand them things, and I actually already plan on those things happening. So it's no surprise to me. It's not like, oh my God, how did this happen, right? So when you live this way and you live your life with a low overhead, one of the things I like too about the RV, the way I live, is it's month to month, right? That's why it's very affordable for most people. There's no first, there's no last. Your trash and your water's paid for. You even get Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi sucks, but you know, at least you can send emails. But you're mobile. I can literally pick up and relocate within a matter of days to another place. Let's just say, you know, this economy crashes, which very much could happen. Certain places may be better than others. Wouldn't you want to be able to pack up your home and not be cemented into anything? And be able to just move, right? You get a better offer on a job someplace. And that's what the RV living and simple life affords you. So it takes planning and it takes some changes definitely in life. It's not as comfortable and convenient, I think, as the people living in a house, you know, doing their thing. But it is so when you want to save money. When you want to go, to me, I almost look at this as living at Grandpa's house. I'm saving like probably over $2,000, $2,500 a month, guys, on rent. That's a lot of money. That's also a lot less stress. That means a lot less work I have to do to support something like that. So, yeah, you have to say so. I think the biggest one, as I said, it bears repeating, is that life has slowed down for us who are hunkered down living a simple life. We're able to actually comprehend the situation that's at hand of what's going on. We're actually able to do extra. We're able to look at extra things because we're not so preoccupied with surviving. Then what I mean by that is a lot of people who have that high overhead, you know, $3,000 rent, $2,500 a month on top of living and everything. They're working constantly. And when you get home, the last thing you want to think about is negative shit, right? Or what's going on in the world. You probably peek in, but you're just like, you know what? I'm going to pass out for a while. Those of us who live a calmer life where we can say, what the fuck's, what is that? What's that sound? What did I just see? No. Let's stop everything and gaze upon that and figure out what the fuck that is, because I don't like that. And I want to understand what that is, right? You have the ability and the power to do those type of things, whereas most people, they don't really necessarily even the ability or power to do those things. They don't even have the energy. So very important to consider slowing your life down. I think a lot of you are going to have this handed to you whether you like it or not. It's a gift, I think, in some ways, where if you have to lose everything you've got, sometimes that's when you find yourself. I am very fearful, though, that a lot of people are going to do bad things to each other and themselves, you know, once the shit hits the fan, if it hits the fan. Human nature disgusts me, and there's just stupid people out there. But I think those of you who are the wiser, those of you who are survivors and still have some fire in you and still want to make shit happen, you know, look at this as a way to simplify your life and start over again. I've talked a lot on the show how I've started over again probably like 5-6 times, man. I've relocated to a place, almost started going down to low. My reserves, my cash reserves started to get low. I was computing what's going on. This is not a good place to be. It's not profitable at all. We cannot sustain it here. We need to move. I've always been mobile and lived simple enough to be able to do those things. But I was able to experiment. A lot of people will say that those were failures, that I fucked up and, you know, I lost out. You know what? Monetarily, I did. Spiritually, I gained. Wisdom, I gained. Education, I gained. All of these experiences and these what's the word I'm looking for? These skills, basically. And beyond all that, all the skills and all that shit, you know what the biggest thing that money can't buy that I figured out by doing all these moves and so-called failures? I figured out what I didn't want to do. I think a lot of people just shift into an area and say, well, you know, whether it's a state that you live in, a city, a type of house, they just a job, they just put themselves in there and go, this is what is. Those of us who really, truly, who don't do mean things to other people or ourselves, you know, bad things, people who look and are intellectually sound and happy and eager to explore for more happiness, are willing to sacrifice and go find these things out. You don't know till you ever try. Confucius, the knife is sharp, right? You don't know the knife is sharp until you actually get cut and you're like, wow, it's a newfound respect. So by doing all of these things, just like raising children, you know, we want to protect them. They don't know what's going on in the world. They don't know these experiences. They're going through textbooks and things that, you know, that they learn in school and the verbiage that you tell them until they experience it themselves, so they actually get hungry one day. I'm going to leave and go on my own where everything's just going to be better because dad sucks. He is just an asshole tyrant, right? Then they get out there and like, ah, shit, it's cold, it's rainy, I don't have, you know, damn, I kind of understand where dad was coming from now, you know. So that's the experience that people, I think they need to really get into there. And I kind of think I've been wavering off here from the subject matter, but it's a good place to end the show. My senile fucking brain. I've got to get in here and get some stuff going. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. There's lots of stuff down in you guys can get extra things down at the bottom there in the description. As I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.